Hello, my name's Polly and welcome to my channel Space Woman. Today I'm going to be doing the Nifty Thrifty Tag, which is about thrifted clothing and bric-a-brac and whatever you have. It was started by a YouTuber called Killer Hair, great name. So it's basically a set of questions which I am going to answer today. Now, I've always loved thrifting from when I was about 7 or 8, and the reason I first got into it is that I guess my mum is basically a minimalist. Anyway, she absolutely hates clutter, and so when she decided that me and my sister, when we were kids, had too much stuff in our rooms, she would just go in there while we were at school and grab a load of stuff and send it to the jumble sale. So mum would decide we had too much stuff and she would grab our things randomly, I guess, and send them to the jumble sale. So yeah, by the time I was about 7, I figured out that I could just work out when the jumble sale was being held and then go and buy my stuff back again. So after that, I guess, when I was a teenager, I would get quite a lot of my clothes from charity shops just because I didn't have much money, and also I loved clothes from the 60s, and you could find stuff in charity shops if you were lucky, and I still do love thrifting. It's been a big part of my life, and I should think at least sort of 50-60% of my wardrobe is thrifted clothes. So my definition of thrifting is anything I've got from a charity shop, a jumble sale or a car boot sale. I don't really count vintage shopping, which I also do, or second-hand shopping, consignment shopping, because I feel like it's been sort of edited for you, and the fun of going into charity shops and things is that it might be a disaster and you might just find a million VHS tapes of the A-Team and a nightgown someone died in, or you might find last season's Prada and Gucci, which actually I used to in a charity shop near where I used to live. So it's a complete crapshoot, and that's why I love it. So on with the questions, which I will list below. What's the cheapest item you've ever thrifted? Well, that would be 2 bracelets that I got years ago. A charity shop where I used to live had a bowl of jewellery that was all 20p, and I still have 2 bracelets from that time, and one is this chevron bangle. I love black and white monochrome, and I also love chevrons for some reason, so I really like this. It cost 20p and I still wear it quite a lot. And the other bracelet I got in this 20p bowl was this really nice, I think it's actually silver. It's but probably not sterling. It's like a Moroccan silver or something, I guess. And it's a really ornate, heavy bracelet, which I can't actually put on myself. I have to get my husband to do it up for me. So it's going to be, oh, no, I really can't put it on myself. Anyway, it's chunky, it's silver, it's heavy, and I love it. And best of all, it only cost me 20p. The next question is, what is the most expensive item you've ever thrifted? Well, that would be this Burberry MAC, which it's got the classic check print inside. It's the nice classic trench. It's my size, it's in very good condition, and so I was happy to pay £40 for it, which, given that if you buy one new they're 800, 900, even £1,000, I thought £40 was reasonable. What is the oldest item that you've thrifted that you still have and still wear? It would be this, help if it's the right way up, Guinness belt, which is just a really nice thick, don't know if you can see how thick it is, but it's massively thick. It's nice and soft and supple, and it's got the metal plate there that says Guinness on it, and this really nice heavy brass buckle, and I'm pretty sure that is actually solid brass. And this, again, I got probably soon after I came to London. God, it must be 15 years ago now. And it was in a box of belts that were all 50p, so it was very cheap, and it's a really good quality belt. It's lasted me for all that time, and I wear it constantly. What is the newest thing you've thrifted? Well, that would be this, another Burberry coat. This one here, which is this beautiful soft black cashmere overcoat. It's like a big wrap coat, really, so it has this big collar that wraps around, and then you just tie it around the waist. It's nice and long, so it goes over the midi skirts that I'm wearing at the moment for winter, because they keep my legs warm and that's long enough to cover them. And that I found in a charity shop with the great name of the Lama's Pyjamas. I think it's probably a Buddhist charity with a name like that. And I walked in there and there was a row where the woman was just putting out new stuff from the back room, and she put out this, and I saw the Burberry label and I grabbed it. I said, "Can I try this?" And she said, "Yeah. It's in really good condition and it's brilliantly warm and it feels really luxurious and snuggly. It's basically like I'm wearing my dressing gown. That's how it feels, being so thick and soft, and yet it looks a whole lot more glamorous." Okay, so the next question is, what is the biggest bang for your buck? I take this to mean something that I got for cheap, but I've worn a lot, or is in some way it adds something way beyond its price tag to my wardrobe. This dress here, which, seeing it on the wall, it doesn't actually do it justice. I'll try and insert a picture of me wearing it. It's what I call my mermaid dress, because it's got this sort of blue sparkliness to it, and it's very figure hugging and hourglassy. And I got it years ago from, it was actually from a vintage shop, so I slightly cheated here, but it was a vintage shop that was closing down, so all their prices went way down. And I was actually helping my friend try and find a wedding dress, which we did. She got this gorgeous red sparkly sort of unconventional wedding dress, luckily, otherwise it would have been dreadful if it would only been me that got a dress. But yeah, I found this dress, which was, I think, £16, and I think it's probably from the 70s, but it's got a sort of 30s vibe to it as well. And this, I swear to God, is the hardest working dress in London. I used to work in a cabaret club, and this was my go-to dress. If I didn't know what to wear, this is what I put on, because I had to look sort of glamorous and cabaret-ish. Anyway, that was my favourite dress. Actually, it still is my favourite dress. It suits me much better than modern dresses. It always seems to fit. It's very comfortable, and yeah, I just really love it. There's one more thing. This silver and turquoise bracelet. I love this cuff. I got it for, I think, £8 in a charity shop. They did realise it was a nice bracelet, but I'm not sure they realised that if you bought it in one of the fancy Western shops in London, it would probably be 100, 200 quid. So £8 was fine, and I love it, and it always gets compliments when I wear it, and it's just a real standout statement cuff. What is your best thrift deal? For me, that would have to be my Vince leather-fronted cardigan, which I got for £10 in my local Crusade charity shop, and I just adore this. It's got this beautifully soft leather front and back, and then the sleeves are like cardigan material. And yeah, it's a brand called Vince, which I love, but they're usually really expensive, and this cost me £10 in the charity shop. When I got home, I looked it up online, and it retailed for 750 quid. So I was very, very pleased with that. I love this thing. I wear it all the time, and it's been brilliant value for money. I think that's probably my best deal. What's the weirdest thing I've thrifted? Well, that would be, there were two things that I no longer have because they were just frankly too weird, and I got rid of them. But one was these two metal syringes in a metal case that I just thought were really cool because they were sort of chromy and silver. And I guess they were kind of cattle syringes or something. I really hope they weren't for humans. They were massive. Anyway, I had these things and they were too weird even for me, and so I redonated them eventually. And I also had a belt that was like a squash snake. I mean, it was literally someone had got this sort of white-looking snake and squashed it, and that was a belt. They put a hook on its mouth, which again, now I think is absolutely disgusting. But at the time, I quite liked the idea of a belt that was actually a snake, which is macabre and horrible, and I'm really glad I got rid of it. Anyway, the things I still have, probably the weirdest thing is, now this is probably going to make the camera go crazy, but anyway, It is a mirror that has David Bowie on it. Now, I love David Bowie, and I'm really sad that he just died. And he's about the first public figure where I've been genuinely upset to hear that they've died. I mean, obviously I didn't know him, but I love him as a personality and as an artist. This, I think, is from his Young Americans era, which, what was that, late 70s, early 80s? And it's, I guess some teenager back then would have had it in their bedroom, but I kind of couldn't resist it. I got it years ago and I've held on to it through various decluttering, so I guess I like it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Don't think my husband likes Bowie, but I'm not sure he wants a David Bowie mirror up in our flat. Anyway, that's probably the weirdest thing that I've thrifted that I still own, and I think that probably cost me £1 or £2. It wasn't very much. What was the biggest waste of money from something you've thrifted? It's tricky because I don't usually spend that much, so even if I decide that something was a big mistake, I'll usually just happily redonate it or give it to someone or something, but which is what I've done with pretty much everything that I think is a waste of money. So the only thing I've really got left is this, it's a prison apron from, I guess, a Japanese, I don't speak either of them, prison. I'm sure it's just tourist wear. I don't think it's actually an inmate's apron, but for some reason I must have decided it would be cool to have a prison apron to do the cooking in. I really don't think it is, so that's gone. What is your favourite thrifted trend? It's an odd thing to say because I usually, well, the reason I thrift is because I don't really like to follow trends. I like what I like, and I will find things that are a bit different and are really me if I go to a thrift shop. So I'd say there's a lot of people on YouTube show plaid shirts. This one is by it's got a nice suede patches on the arms, and it's Royal Stuart tartan, apparently, according to authentic Royal Stuart tartan, according to the label. And it's by a brand called Pendleton. Now, I absolutely love Pendleton's stuff. They do the best plaids, the best prints. They're a very old and established woolen mill in the States, and it actually turns up quite a lot in England, their stuff, and they're still going, and you can get blankets and stuff, really gorgeous ones, but they're very expensive. So I love it when I can find these shirts. I've got a skirt by them. I've actually got a Pendleton blanket too. Whenever I see that label, I know it's going to be really good quality and pure wool, and I snap it up as long as it's a good price. And also, brown leather just gets better with age. So these Roper boots, for instance, I've had for about 5 years. They cost me £5, which is great because they're really brilliantly made. Ooh, oil resistant. Oil resistant 120 plus. Loving that. They're obviously meant for a working cowboy. And yeah, they only cost me £5. I've worn them for years. They're really sturdy, and look at that leather. It's just got such a nice patina. Love a bit of vintage brown leather too. That goes for belts and bags and boots. What was my favourite thrift experience? That would have to be New York, I think. Years ago, it must have been about 2005 or something. Anyway, a million years ago, for about 5 minutes, I was a fashion journalist, and I used to write for mainstream magazines, but I also wrote for a magazine that specialised in vintage and thrifted fashion, and they were based in London and New York, so I went out to New York for a bit, and it was back when Alphabet City, that's Avenues A to however far the avenues go on the Lower East Side, when that was still slightly edgy and scuzzy. Now it's all very shishy and been done up, gentrified. Back then it was still scuzzy, and every other shop was either a nail bar or a vintage shop, and some of the vintage shops looked like someone had just tipped the entire contents of a flat clearance or something into the shop window, and you really had to root through piles of crap to find anything, but that was half the fun. And so whilst I was there working for a thrifting magazine, obviously I did some thrifting, and I found the most amazing things that looked like they'd come from the 70s, possibly had. There was a denim jacket that had, someone had hand-painted a dragon on the back, and someone had put studs on by hand, and it had this patch, sewn-on patch that had a cannabis leaf, and it said underneath, "Fly the American Way." So this was real hippy-dippy acid head territory. It may have been worn to Woodstock, this denim jacket, or at least that's what I like to think. Still have it in my long-suffering parents' attic. Must go and fish it out because I never want to part with that. It's just such a great counterculture relic. So I got that. I got a silver, God knows, calfskin, I think, top. Looked like something Iggy Pop would have worn back in the 70s, and I probably will end up selling that because the amount of occasions I have in my life to wear a silver calfskin top are few and far between. But I got that, and I'm sure I got a lot of other crazy stuff, but really it was the whole experience of being there, hanging out with some great people, discovering this new city. I've been to New York before, but I hadn't really gone thrifting, and got to go to parties and bars and things because of the magazine, the people I knew, and I got to go to CBGB's, and which is like punk mecca from the 70s, and I love 70s punk music anyway, so I was just thrilled to go to CBGB's and sit there and listen to all the local bands playing, and some of them were great, some of them were awful. It was exactly how you would imagine CBGB's was a dive. There was graffiti everywhere. I think I probably added some graffiti in the toilets just because, I was there and it's what everyone did. And that whole trip, all the people, getting to see all the sort of punk landmarks firsthand and coming back with some brilliant thrift clothes, that was a formative experience for me, I think, one that I'm really glad I had before the whole place got gentrified. CBGB's got turned into luxury flats or whatever it is now. And gentrification, which has come to New York and London, I don't think is necessarily a good thing. So I'm glad I was there before that totally took over. So that is my favourite thrifting experience. What is your favourite thrift store? The Crusade near where I used to live was great because they had a lot of TV presenters and models and rich people donate them things. So they also had a deal with Urban Outfitters for a while. So Urban Outfitters used to take a lot of their end of season stock to Crusade, so which is the HIV charity. I guess that would have been probably my favourite. When I've been to America and Canada, I've really enjoyed the fact that they have the big thrift warehouses where it's just loads of things under one roof. We don't really have that in England, or not very often, so it's usually a funny little shop on the high street somewhere run by a handful of volunteers, and it's usually all a bit dusty and badly organised. And what is my most worn thrifted item? That would be these poor old Chelsea boots, which I've had for 7 or 8 years, I think. And they are by Grenson, which is a really good old, I think, British make. Could be wrong, could be American. And they're just beautifully made. I think they're meant to be men's, but they're British size 6, so they're quite small. They're my size. And they are just really beautifully made. They're black leather on the outside and then the sort of tan leather inside. And they have just this little buckle detail where the strap goes across. And I have worn these and worn these and worn these suckers until they're literally, the leather's starting to crack. And so what I did was I went on eBay and I managed to track down the exact same pair. I think they're from the 90s or something. And I found the exact same pair on eBay, which I was thrilled about because if I find something I love, I don't want to have anything else. So I have replaced these. These ones were originally, I think, £12, which for handmade leather boots, Chelsea boots, is just brilliant. I think Grenson shoes now cost 300 or 400 quid, so 12 quid for these was a steal, and they've lasted and lasted so well. What is your favourite thing to thrift? That's easy, that's button badges, which is a funny thing. Almost always, if I'm wearing an outfit, there will almost always be a badge on it. So particularly I like the enamel old rock ones. So the ones I have, just a sampling, I've got quite a lot, is this nice Thin Lizzy one and B-52s and David Bowie Sound and Vision Tour one. And then I've got this crazy one, which I guess came from a charity or something. Just says "Show You Care," misspelt, on a giant heart. And I really enjoy wearing that because it is something I believe. You should show you care. And it's just sort of kitsch and fun. And another favourite is this nice old blondie one, which is an original, I think, from the 70s. Just the condition of it makes me think this isn't a repro. Look at that. But yeah, love that one. And oh, these are two nice ones that I got. These are quite cool. When I was in Berlin, I went thrifting and I got 2 badges from before the fall of the Berlin Wall. So anyway, you've basically got East Berlin and West Berlin, a badge from each saying they're the greatest. And I really enjoy these, and it's hard to show them because they're quite old and enamel. And yeah, anyway, this is the 2 sides of the Berlin Wall in 2 separate badges. I did the what's the worst value thing you've thrifted, the worst deal, waste of money. And I'm going to do a counterpart to that, which is the thing that I wasn't sure for a while why I had bought it. And then it turned out that it came in really useful, which is this lovely little, looks sort of Moroccan-y brass bag. I think, again, it's just tourist wear. It's got a sort of red lining, and it used to have a nice black strap with black cord strap like this, but with yellow tassels on the end. And the reason it's now got a white strap is because I used it as my wedding bag. I needed a bag that was small and wouldn't detract from the dress, which is why I changed the strap to white. This is actually a pyjama cord, so it's not anywhere near as nice as its original handle, but I needed something that would blend into the dress, and but that I liked in its own right. And so this became my wedding bag. So there was a reason I hung on to it for 8, 9, 10 years. I just didn't know it for a while. But anyway, I'm glad I kept it. It was used in my wedding, and so now I will always keep it. I just think it's really nicely made. My lovely dad polished it up because it was a bit dingy before, so that it shone, and on the day it was really beautifully sunny, and so it shone. Okay, well, I think that is the end of my Nifty Thrifty tag, and I tag anyone who loves thrift to also do it, who's watching this. I love seeing what other people have managed to thrift and being a bit jealous of their good deals, and seeing the strange things that they've thrifted. And it is a way of life, and I do feel quite strongly about thrifting. It probably is the most environmentally friendly way to shop, because you're giving extra life to something that otherwise would have ended up in landfill. It's cheap. You end up looking unique. I would say go out and do some, and then do the Nifty Thrifty tag so I can see it. All right, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment and do your own Nifty Thrifty tag. All right, have a good day. Bye.